Pathetic. Worthless. A mistake of nature. That's all they saw, a crippled kitten, struggling to drag her twisted legs across the cold, unforgiving shelter floor. She was nothing but a burden, a life deemed unworthy of saving. The decision was final: by tomorrow, she would be gone. But just when all hope was lost, something unexpected happened. Before we continue, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Your support helps us share more incredible rescue stories and give voices to animals who need them most.
The animal shelter was a sad, lonely place at night. Rows of metal cages lined the walls, each one holding a frightened animal. The air smelled of medicine, old newspapers, and something else, the scent of hopelessness. Dogs whimpered, cats meowed softly, and the cold floors made everything feel even worse. The lights buzzed dimly, casting long shadows on the walls. In one of the smallest cages, a tiny kitten lay trembling. Her fur was soft but dirty, her small ears twitching at the sound of barking dogs and crying animals. Her little legs, twisted and useless, wouldn't let her move like the others. She had never run, never jumped, never chased a ball of yarn. And because of that, the humans had decided she didn't deserve to live. She didn't understand why. She only knew she was scared. A man in a white coat walked past, his shoes clicking on the floor. He stopped in front of her cage, sighed, and wrote something on his clipboard. "Tomorrow," he mumbled. "First thing in the morning." The kitten didn't know what those words meant, but she saw the sadness in the kind lady's eyes. The lady with the warm hands, the one who always gave her extra food, wiped her eyes and whispered, "I'm so sorry, little one." The kitten mewed, stretching out her tiny paw through the bars. But the lady only sighed and walked away. Tomorrow. Tomorrow she would die. The shelter was quiet now. The lights were dim. Most of the animals were sleeping. But the kitten couldn't sleep. Fear clawed at her tiny heart. She wanted to live. She wanted to be loved. Then footsteps. Soft ones. Different from the man in the white coat. A girl appeared in front of her cage. She had big brown eyes and long braids. Her hands were small but gentle as they gripped the metal bars. "Oh no," the girl whispered. "You're just a baby." The kitten meowed weakly. The girl turned to someone behind her. "Mom, look at her. They can't do this. They just can't." A woman with kind eyes knelt beside her. "Sweetheart, she's crippled. Most people don't adopt special needs animals." The girl's eyes filled with tears. "But I will. I will, Mom. Please, we have to save her." The kitten watched, holding her breath. Was this hope? Was this what hope felt like? Would she live to see tomorrow? The mother sighed and glanced at the clipboard hanging on the cage door. It had the kitten's name, though no one had ever called her by it. Just a number, a record in a system that didn't see her as special. "She needs a lot of care," the mother murmured. "Vet visits, therapy. It won't be easy, Emma." The girl wiped her nose on her sleeve. "I don't care, Mom. She's alive. That's what matters." The kitten let out a soft mew as if she understood. Emma's fingers brushed against the tiny paw reaching through the bars. "She wants to live, Mom. Just like us." The mother hesitated. Then she turned to the shelter worker who had been watching from nearby. "What will happen if we don't take her?" The worker's face darkened. "She's scheduled for euthanasia. First thing in the morning." Emma gasped, clutching the bars tighter. "No. You can't." The worker sighed. "I wish we didn't have to, but she's been here too long. Most people want healthy kittens. No one has even asked about her." Emma spun to her mother, her eyes pleading. "We can't let them do this, Mom. Please. She's special." The mother looked at the tiny, helpless kitten and saw something in her daughter's eyes. A fire, a determination. She took a deep breath and turned to the worker. "We'll take her." The worker's eyes widened. "Are you sure? She'll need extra care." "We're sure," Emma's mother said firmly. Emma let out a squeal of joy, but the worker held up a hand. "Wait. We need to do paperwork and the director has to approve it. It's late. I don't know if we can do it in time." Emma's heart pounded. "What if we come back tomorrow and it's too late?" The worker hesitated, glancing at the clipboard. "The morning euthanasia list is already set. The only way to save her is to get everything approved before the night shift ends." Emma's mother nodded. "Then let's not waste time." The shelter worker disappeared down the hallway, leaving Emma and her mother standing anxiously by the cage. The kitten mewed softly, her big eyes searching Emma's face as if she, too, was waiting for an answer. Minutes passed. Then more. The shelter was eerily quiet, except for the ticking of a clock on the wall. Emma's hands gripped the cold bars of the cage. "Mom," she whispered, "what if they say no? What if they don't let us have her?" Her mother placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "Then we'll fight, sweetheart. We won't give up." Suddenly, hurried footsteps echoed through the hallway. The worker returned, her face tense. She held a stack of papers in her hands. "The director agreed," she said quickly. "But you have to sign these now. And there's one condition." Emma's heart pounded. "What is it?" "You need to take her tonight. If she stays until morning, it'll be too late." Emma didn't wait another second. "We'll do it. We'll take her." The worker nodded, handing the papers to Emma's mother. "Sign here and I'll get her out." Emma watched as the woman unlocked the cage. The kitten's tiny body trembled as she was lifted into careful hands. When she was placed in Emma's arms, she let out a small, weak purr. Tears filled Emma's eyes. "We did it," she whispered. "We saved you." The kitten nuzzled into her chest as if she understood. For the first time in her little life she was safe. But the journey was just beginning. The night air was crisp as Emma cradled the tiny kitten in her arms, stepping out of the shelter for the first time. The kitten shivered, her small body trembling against the unfamiliar cold. She had never been outside before. The shelter had been her whole world, until now. Emma gently stroked the kitten's fur as they walked toward the car. "It's okay, sweet girl," she whispered. "You're coming home." As they drove, Emma kept the frail kitten nestled safely in her lap, wrapped in a soft towel. The kitten blinked her big, round eyes, taking in everything. The moving car, the streetlights flashing by, the low hum of voices, everything was new and strange. Emma's mother glanced at her through the rearview mirror. "She looks so small," she murmured. Emma nodded, holding Kitten closer. "She's been through so much. But she's strong." When they finally reached home, Emma carefully carried the kitten inside. The house was warm and filled with soft light. A cozy blanket was already spread out in a small basket, waiting for her. Emma gently placed the kitten in the basket, watching as the kitten sniffed her new surroundings. She wobbled slightly, and used to the soft bedding beneath her paws. "She needs a name," Emma said thoughtfully, watching the kitten curl into a tiny ball. Her mother smiled. "How about Hope?" Emma's face lit up. "Hope, yes, because she never gave up." The kitten let out a soft, sleepy purr as if she understood. Emma lay beside her on the floor, resting her hand in the basket. "You're safe now, Hope. This is your home." The kitten nuzzled into the blanket, closing her eyes. For the first time in her life, she truly felt at peace. Hope was home. But home was strange. She lay curled up in the soft basket Emma had prepared, but everything around her was different. The air smelled warm and comforting, filled with scents she had never known. Fresh laundry, something sweet baking in the kitchen, the faint scent of flowers from outside. It was nothing like the cold, sterile scent of the shelter. The kitten blinked her round eyes, staring at the shadows dancing on the walls as a small lamp flickered nearby. Instead of the constant cries of lonely animals, she could hear only the soft hum of the refrigerator and the quiet murmur of Emma and her mother talking in the next room. A gentle hand stroked her fur. "Are you okay, sweet girl?" Emma whispered, lying beside her on the floor. The cat let out a tiny meow. She didn't know if she was okay. She had never been anywhere like this before. The soft bed felt too different from the cold metal cage. The silence felt too quiet after so many nights of barking and meowing. Emma's mother walked in, carrying a small dish. "She hasn't eaten much," she said softly, placing the food down. "Maybe she's just nervous." Emma nodded. "It's okay, Hope. You don't have to be scared anymore." The cat's ears twitched. She could feel the warmth of Emma's hand. She could hear the kindness in her voice. Slowly, she stretched out her tiny paws and nuzzled against Emma's fingers. Emma smiled. "You're safe now." As Hope closed her eyes, her tiny body relaxed for the first time. Tomorrow would be a new beginning. The morning sunlight streamed through the curtains as Emma gently picked up the kitten, cradling her in her arms. Today was the first full day in her new home, and Emma was determined to help her heal. Hope let out a small meow as Emma placed her on a soft blanket on the floor. Her tiny, twisted legs barely moved as she tried to shift her weight. Emma's heart ached watching her struggle. "You don't have to do it alone," Emma whispered. "We're in this together." Her mother knelt beside them. "We should start slow. Let her get used to being cared for." Emma nodded and dipped her fingers into a small bowl of warm water, gently wiping Hope's face. The kitten blinked up at her, surprised by the soft touch. Then, Emma carefully massaged Hope's legs, just as she had seen in a video about special needs kittens. Hope flinched at first, but after a while she let out a soft purr. Emma grinned. See? That's not so bad. It would take time, patience, and love, but Hope had already fought so hard to live. Now she was finally getting the chance to heal. The car ride to the vet was quiet except for the soft purring coming from Emma's lap. Hope was curled up in a small, cozy blanket, her tiny body relaxed but her big eyes filled with curiosity. She had never been outside the shelter until now, and everything, moving cars, honking horns, the blur of trees outside the window, was new. Emma gently stroked her fur. It's okay, Hope. We're just going to see a nice doctor who will help you feel better. When they arrived at the vet's office, the waiting room smelled of medicine and fur. Dogs barked, cats meowed in their carriers, and Emma held Hope close, keeping her calm. Soon, a kind-looking vet with glasses and a gentle smile entered the room. So this is Hope, he said, taking her gently from Emma's arms. He placed Hope on the exam table and carefully examined her legs. Emma held her breath. Can she ever walk? The vet sighed thoughtfully. Her legs are weak, but with therapy and care she might learn to move better. She may never walk like other cats, but she can still have a happy life. Emma smiled. That's all that matters. Hope let out a soft purr as if she agreed. The vet, Dr. Wilson, was a kind man with silver hair and glasses that slipped down his nose. He took Hope gently from Emma's arms and placed her on the examination table. The little kitten trembled, but Emma stroked her fur to calm her. Dr. Wilson examined Hope carefully, touching her tiny legs and watching how they stayed limp. He listened to her heartbeat, checked her eyes, and ran his fingers down her spine. Emma held her breath, waiting for him to speak. Finally, he sighed and looked at them. Hope has a serious condition, he said. Her back legs are completely paralyzed. She may never walk like other cats. Emma's heart ached, but she squeezed Hope close. But she's not sick, right? She's not in pain? Dr. Wilson smiled gently. No, she's not in pain. And she's healthy in every other way. She just needs special care. Emma's mother looked worried. Is there anything we can do to help her? Dr. Wilson nodded. There are ways to help her move. Some people make tiny wheelchairs for kittens like her. We can also try therapy, stretching her legs to keep her strong. Emma's eyes brightened. A wheelchair? She could still play and run? Yes, the vet said. With patience and love, she can have a happy life. Emma beamed and looked down at Hope. Did you hear that, little one? You're going to be okay. Hope purred softly as if she understood. The journey wouldn't be easy, but she had been given a second chance. And Emma was determined to help her every step of the way. Emma held Hope close as they left the vet's office. Her mind raced with everything Dr. Wilson had said. A wheelchair for a kitten? Therapy? It all sounded so big, so difficult. But when she looked down at the tiny ball of fur in her arms, she knew one thing for sure. She would do whatever it took. Hope had been saved once. Now Emma had to help her live. When they got home, Emma gently placed Hope on a soft blanket in the living room. The little kitten blinked up at her, her back legs sprawled behind her. You're going to be okay, Emma whispered, stroking her fur. I promise. Her mother sat down beside her, scrolling through her phone. It looks like there are a lot of people who help kittens like Hope. We could ask for advice. Emma nodded eagerly. And the wheelchair? Where do we get one? Her mother smiled. Some people make them by hand. Maybe we could find someone to help. Or, maybe we could make one ourselves. Emma's eyes widened. Make one? But how? Her mother chuckled. Your dad's pretty good with tools. Maybe he could help. Excitement bubbled inside Emma. This was happening. Hope was going to have a chance to move, to run, to play like other kittens. She looked down at Hope, who let out a tiny, happy meow. You hear that, Hope? Emma whispered. We're going to make sure you have the best life ever. Hope purred in response, and in that moment, Emma knew this wasn't just about saving a kitten anymore. This was about giving her a future. That evening, Emma rushed to her father's workshop. The small shed smelled of wood, metal, and oil. Tools hung neatly on the walls and half-finished projects sat on the workbench. Dad, Emma called, bursting through the door. Can you help me build something? Her father, a tall man with kind eyes, set down his screwdriver. Well, that depends. What are we building? Emma placed the kitten on the workbench, carefully supporting her tiny body. A wheelchair. For Hope. So she can move like other kittens. Her dad scratched his chin. That's a big project, kiddo. Emma's heart sank. But we have to try. He knelt beside her, looking at the tiny kitten. Hope blinked up at him with curious eyes, her little tail flicking. Then, as if she understood, she let out a tiny meow. Her father smiled. All right. Let's give it a shot. Excited, Emma helped gather materials. They needed something light but strong, small wheels, soft straps, and a frame that wouldn't hurt Hope. We'll need to take her measurements, her father said. He gently held Hope while Emma used a small ruler to check the length of her body and the width of her legs. For the next few hours, they worked together, shaping tiny pieces of plastic, attaching small wheels from an old toy car, and making sure the straps were soft enough to keep Hope comfortable. Finally, her father held up the tiny wheelchair. It's not perfect, but it's a start. Emma's hands trembled with excitement. Let's see if she likes it. Hope's journey wasn't over yet, but she was one step closer to running, playing, and truly living. Emma's heart pounded as she carefully strapped Hope into the tiny wheelchair. The kitten sat still, blinking in confusion as the soft harness wrapped around her body. The little wheels barely made a sound against the floor. Okay, Hope, Emma whispered. You can do this. Hope wiggled her front paws, trying to figure out what was happening. She stretched her body forward, and the wheels moved slightly. Her tail flicked in surprise. That's it. Emma cheered. Try again, baby girl. Hope hesitated, then pushed with her front paws. The wheels rolled forward, moving her body with them. Her ears perked up. She tried again, this time a little faster. Emma gasped. Mom? Dad? She's doing it. Her mother and father rushed into the room just in time to see Hope scoot across the floor, her tiny wheels spinning behind her. She was slow, unsteady, but she was moving, really moving, for the first time in her life. Tears welled in Emma's eyes. You're amazing, Hope. Keep going. Hope's confidence grew with every little push. She let out a playful meow and tried to chase after a small ball Emma rolled toward her. She didn't catch it, but that didn't matter. For the first time, she wasn't trapped. She wasn't helpless. She was free. Emma scooped her up, hugging her close. I knew you could do it. Hope purred louder than ever, nuzzling against her. She had been given a second chance. And she wasn't going to waste it. The days that followed were filled with wonder for Hope. Every morning, Emma strapped her into her tiny wheelchair, and each day Hope grew stronger. She learned to chase toys, to scoot toward her food bowl, and even to follow Emma around the house. The first time she tried to climb a small ramp Emma had built, she tumbled backward and let out a startled meow. Emma gasped and rushed to her side. Are you okay, sweet girl? She asked, stroking Hope's fur. But Hope wasn't hurt, she was determined. She wriggled her body, adjusted her front paws, and tried again. Emma watched in awe as the tiny kitten pulled herself forward, inch by inch, until she reached the top. You did it. Emma cheered, clapping her hands. Hope let out a triumphant purr. She was unstoppable now. One afternoon, Emma's mother had an idea. Why don't we share Hope's story? She suggested. Emma tilted her head. Like, online? Her mother nodded. There are lots of people out there who love animals like Hope. Maybe her journey could inspire someone else. Emma's heart swelled. That's a great idea. That night, Emma and her mother took pictures and videos of Hope, rolling across the floor, batting at a toy, even snuggling into Emma's arms. They posted them with the story of how she was rescued, how she got her tiny wheels, and how she refused to give up. Emma whispered to Hope, "The world is going to love you as much as I do." She had no idea just how right she was. The days turned into weeks, and something incredible started to happen. Emma's post about Hope spread faster than she ever imagined. Strangers from all over the world commented, sharing words of love and encouragement. Some had pets like Hope. Others had never seen a kitten with wheels before. This little one is such a fighter, one person wrote. Thank you for saving her, another said. She gives me hope too. Emma beamed as she read the messages aloud to Hope, who purred happily in her lap. Then one day something amazing happened. A company that made custom pet wheelchairs reached out to Emma's family. We'd love to make Hope a professional wheelchair, they wrote. For free. Emma's jaw dropped. Mom? Dad? Did you see this? Her parents smiled. She's changing lives, sweetheart, her mother said. Just by being herself. A few weeks later, a package arrived. Inside was a sleek, lightweight wheelchair, perfectly designed for Hope's tiny body. The moment Emma strapped her in, Hope took off, zooming around the room faster than ever before. Emma laughed through happy tears. You're a superstar, Hope. And she truly was. Hope's story inspired thousands. She became a symbol of strength, of second chances, of never giving up. But to Emma she was simply family. One evening, as Hope curled up beside Emma, purring softly, Emma whispered, "They almost took you away from me. But look at you now. You're strong. You're loved. You're home." Hope nuzzled into her, her little body warm and safe. She had been saved from the darkness. And now she was a light for the world. If you've ever witnessed or experienced a heartwarming animal rescue like this, we'd love to hear your story in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring rescue stories, and to help support the channel so we can keep sharing these touching tales.